Hello and welcome to this session of Talking Tech, Women and Girls in ICT. My name is Afoma and today I'm excited to be having a discussion about tech and tech careers with Maria, who is an expert in AI ethics and leads the implementation of artificial intelligence ethics in PwC UK.
Hello. Very
Hi,
nice to see you, Afoma. Very nice to be here and to talk to you.
Thank you, and thank you for joining us. So Talking Tech is a series celebrating girls and women in tech being recorded around the world between Girls in ICT Day 2020 and Girls in ICT Day 2021. Girls in ICT Day is an international day marked on the fourth Thursday of each April, and the objectives of Girls in ICT Day are to help to create a global environment that empowers and encourages girls and young women to consider studies and careers in the growing field of information and communication technologies. The Talking Tech series is brought to you by the ITU, the UNICC, and the Office of the UN Secretary General's Envoy on Youth and is in support of Equals, the global partnership for gender equality in the digital age. The goals of the series include to interest and inspire girls and younger women with information about a range of ICT careers that can be had, and to bring before a broader audience some of the role model women in tech and share information about their career journeys and work. It's also to offer diverse examples of how ICT is being used to support achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals and other UN goals. I'm a master's student at the Warwick Business School, and I'm currently studying the management of information systems and digital innovation. And as you can see, a more gender-balanced tech sector is something that I'm passionate about. So I'm delighted to now shift to a conversation with Maria, who leads the implementation of AI in PwC and is in charge of making sure that this is well embedded in in PwC's client services. So Maria, I'd like to start off by asking you when and how you got into technology.
That's such a good question. First of all, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to have this girl to women, women to girl conversation and to join your revolution and passion of inspire more girls and young women to join a STEM career, because we know that a lot of the problems we have with tech are due to the fact that we have a lack of women participating in building those technology, but also in the decision making around how technology are being built and used forward. So my journey in technology started quite a few years back. I'm from Romania, and I grew up in a small village in Transylvania. Yes, that's Transylvania with vampires and co. And at some point, I wanted to become a fighter jet pilot. And I was very determined. I was 14, so I had to choose which high school I will attend. And I was determined to join a military one. But surprise, surprise, at the time, they were not accepting girls. So therefore, I got very annoyed with the fact that girls were not accepted. So I decided to go to a computer science high school, actually, class. So I started studying computer science when I was 14. And while it was quite an abrupt change, because at that time we would do a lot of programming per se. So and pen on paper programming, so that we get to develop our logical thinking and understanding of computer science and programming beyond writing code per se. When I graduated high school, I decided that I want to go into business, and I attended one of the leading universities in Bucharest on economical study, only to find out that once I started my career, technology will follow me very closely in every job I had. So either I would be and the executive assistant of a CEO, that was my first ever job, or further down the line, I ended up transforming and managing businesses. Technology was there to showcase how much progress and how much value you can add by using tech in a meaningful way. Fast forwarding into the last decade, I came to UK 11 years ago to study an MBA here in UK. And while my focus during the MBA was around strategy and corporate governance, I was very much convinced that I want to join a consultancy that is specialized in technology, and that's what has happened after I graduated the course, I joined Cognizant Technology Solutions, which is a big tech companies, consulting and tech companies. And that's where I had the chance for the first time to work on so many different tech related projects, implementation of various type of technology, from a mobile application all the way up to CRM, ERP platforms, or any other types of enterprise related technologies. And in a very short period of time, I would say in 2 years and a half, how long I spent in Cognizant, I was exposed to so much of the tech world. At the time, I didn't understand, but only when I moved and came to PwC, I understood the depth and the richness of that 2 years where I was fully immersed into the tech world and being able to work with literally all types of technologies, from enterprise architects all the way to testers and all sorts of computer science professionals, and how much I've learned about that world. And then being able to use that experience into then consulting projects I had in PwC, and most recently being able to apply all this experience in the world of AI.
That's very interesting, actually, because I'm always very intrigued hearing women who got into technology from a very young age and started programming at such a young age. That's very interesting. And your journey is how, like, you have to go through certain processes to excel at the role that you're currently at. Yes, so that's very interesting.
I think ultimately, no matter how young or less young you start your career in tech, I think it's important to make it to make it so that is aligned with your core values, right? There was this misconception back in Romania that girls are not necessarily good at maths, and I have a lot of friends, not my classmates. I had half of my colleagues in high school were girls, and about half of those girls ended up choosing a computer science discipline, and they were very good. They were that good, some of them, that the guys were jealous on how good those girls were, right? So they ended up and smashing every contest and every competition on programming and maths. But there is this misconception that persists even in Romania, although we have a very strong technical school, is that the girls are not necessarily good at maths and science. So if you're a girl, math is not really for you. You should study, science, social related subjects, and to a certain extent, try to stay away from math. But that's a wrong conception to have in the first place, because strongly believe that girls and boys, it doesn't really matter what gender you have. Ultimately, if you're good at you have an analytical brain, or you have the abilities, and those abilities are being fostered nicely throughout your education, you could be very, very good. And I was lucky to a certain extent. I grew up in this balanced environment with both boys and girls in my class, not to see this difference, right? Because we were empowered by our teacher to study hard and work hard, regardless of who we are. The only time when I've observed this, I would say, a little bit of tension between genders is, as I said, as some of the boys in the class were actually a little bit jealous on the smartest girl in the class, who was far better than anyone else, including the boys. I think it's ultimately, as I said, regardless of what job you choose in the wide STEM career, don't think that even if you start later, you're not going to be successful. I mean, looking at my career, I reinvented myself quite a few times. I went from being a business leader, a business executive, being a consultant, working in TV, working in fashion, coming back to consultancy, and now working in AI. So it doesn't really matter where you start, as long as whatever you are at the moment should be a line of who you are as an individual and where you want to go with your life. Don't just do it because it's fashionable or someone else makes you do it. Make it because it's your choice and because it matters to you personally.
That's very enlightening, actually, and especially because I'm currently changing my career path. I previously worked as an economic analyst in the field of economics and was getting certifications in finance, and now I'm trying to get into tech. So thank you for that. That's very encouraging.
That's the way to go, right? So don't settle on a career that you don't necessarily feel that you're aligned with, and go searching. That's so much knowledge and so many opportunities out there, especially for your generation. It's almost crazy not to top in this world of opportunities and not be brave and go try a lot of things. And like always, right? Until you try it, you don't know how good you are or if you like it or not. So yeah, kudos to you. Well done.
Okay, thank you. So the next thing I wanted to ask you was to go in more detail about your current role in AI at PwC.
So my current role, that's an interesting one. And when people ask me, what do I need to do? What skills do I need to have or what education I need to be embarking on to get your role? I tell them, well, that's a little bit difficult because the reality is that I kind of created my role. I know it sounds mad, but that's the reality. So the story is the following. 4 years ago, the leadership of PwC sets up this Center of Excellence on AI. PwC is a professional services company, so they provide all sorts of services to corporate and clients, but also small and medium enterprises on a variety of topics. We are all well known for our accountancy and financial type of services, but also we provide all sorts of consultancies, both business, technical, even environmental. We have a business unit based here in London with close to several hundreds of colleagues that do fantastic work around sustainability and climate change. So they are environmental and climate change consultants, and they combine all our experience around understanding sustainable development goals with business related experience, but also technology related experience to be able to help our clients navigate their problems in the field. So in 2017, the leadership created the Center of Excellence, and I ended up being recruited by one of the first members of this team, Rob McCargo, who's an absolute legend and a big supporter of women in tech and women in STEM. And when I joined the team, it was very much the atmosphere of a startup, right? So we knew that our remit is to actually start the journey of AI for PwC, understand what is AI for PwC, and understand how we can build a vision of AI for PwC that's very much rooted in the reality of the market. So the latest developments of AI, but with a view of how those developments can be implemented. But also it's based very much on the experience and the knowledge of PwC and its strength. So in this journey, my first education was in computer science. Now I would label myself a non-technologist. I came into a team that at the time had quite a number of data scientists, and now I like a little bit of a unicorn alongside Rob, because our unique skills complementary to the deep technical skills the rest of the 40 plus team, our 40 plus team has at the moment. And 4 years ago, when we started looking at various flavors of the AI definition, we ended up acknowledging that AI is much more than technology. It's much more than a data set, a model, and the infrastructure this model is running on, or the integration on the interfaces. It's about it's also about the social, economical, and political context this AI is being developed and used. And as a result, we have to pay much more attention to this context and its impact to the design, development, and use of AI technology than before. And that's when I decided to focus more and more on what ethical AI means. And how do you translate this sometimes academic terms, abstract and high level, into something that's quite actionable? And around that time in 2017, we created the first iteration of Responsible AI Framework that at the time was focusing very much on how do you govern AI. So if you have such a complex technology that requires different points of view and interaction with different departments, how do you create a structure, a process that will allow us to bring everything together, collect all different points of view, and being able to open up collaboration within the enterprise? And that was the moment when our responsible AI journey started, and my personal responsible AI journey started with that one paper, one framework that we put together in partnership with several other teams within the firm. And that was the beauty of the process, is the fact that we saw firsthand the benefit of creating multidisciplinary tools and not coming with something that is in the mind of two or three people, and it's actually rooted in experience of many more. Further down the line, we had several other projects, similar projects around the globe. So we decided to take that that first iteration of responsible AI and create a second version. So we ended up having a toolkit that we created globally, a team of 40 of us from 7 different countries. And in this process, we allow ourselves to go out there and interact with a large number of partners within the AI ecosystem: universities, academics, research institutes, think tanks, public policy bodies, regulators, the government and the parliament, activist groups, just to understand how to best understand the AI phenomenon. And from there, being able to bring this expertise into the realm of actionable, and being able to help and advise our clients in a better way that's very much plugged into the realities of the field. And in all this process, I think I've spent about 10 years, maybe 12 years, fit in four, because it was such an intense experience, running from one event to the other, to one experience to another, discussing and exchanging notes and experience with so many people, to actually start doing it with our team. And in this process, I realized that it's really important to understand the context you are doing this pioneer work. And while there are some trade-offs, and sometimes you might give away some perks like progression, or even financial gains like salary increases, it's very important, again, as I said earlier, is to understand where you want to go. You want do something, as I do, something significant for the world, and as a result, don't be put off by any obstacles you find. And in this process, you might be surprised, as I am surprised, where I got to in 4 years. I would have never suspected. I ended up working in this field and being a role model and being an influencer on the stage and an expert. And I did this without even thinking that I will get there. I just immersed myself in this crazy world, rich world, and I was opening myself up to all those opportunities that comes my way. And probably this is not the first time in my life I did it. I think I'm a serial offender on this, but probably this is the first time when I realize how important it is to be open-minded and allow yourself to be always had a very strict plan, always say I'm going to get there no matter what. Also be open to the cues of the universe, and see what other opportunities are, and grab the ones that are more likely aligned to what you want to go. And that's not as easy as I'm going to choose the job. I think that was the old way of getting in a career. Those days is about you make your career. You are in control because of opportunities there are. So it's just a matter of you understanding yourself, who you are as a person, what you like, what you don't like, what you're good at and not good at, and take it from there and put yourself in the middle of everything. And the magic happens. I'm a proof that this magic happens when you're less bothered about, I'm going to apply for this position and I'm going to only play this role, and allow yourself to be disrupted. I think there is this moment in time when we will see a lot of jobs being transformed, and people who will be the happiest and the most fulfilled are the ones who will be open to those opportunities and challenges coming forward. Sorry, it was a long answer to your very short, pointy question, but that's my overall experience: is just be open up, and that let the opportunities that come to you, embrace them, and don't have list and criteria in your head, or preset jobs and molds that you need to be filled, because the reality of life is very different, right? There's a lot of messiness, but also there's too many unpredicted occurrences that might turn out to be much better than anything else, the wildest dreams.
that was a brilliant answer. I think it was very interesting getting an insight into what you do, because with technology constantly changing and evolving, it's very important to actually know the governance behind things and to know why things are being used for. And I'm so thankful for the advice you gave me, honestly, because yes, just going for it without thinking, without fear of thinking. And I think a lot of us, like a lot of women, are always thinking of if they can actually do this, whereas men are always quick to just go at it. And I think it's great for women to just go for it without thinking twice.
That isn't it like isn't it great, right? So it's just I didn't realize but that's exactly what the difference in between us and the guys. They don't think as much of the public perception. Oh, am I capable or not? And I think I had to deal with it for quite a long time, to be honest, right? This lack of confidence. And the minute when I got myself to myself and I realized what I'm capable of, that's when everything has changed. And if there's one thing I want to share with you and our audience, is that's what we need from each other, right? This support that will empower us to have confidence that we are not good enough, we are excellent, and we have hidden potential. If discovered and supported, we can actually do wonderful things, beyond wonderful. And if there's one thing that the world needs right now, are empowered women, to the already long list of amazing attributes and characteristics. There's one thing that's missing, is confidence. And if we will work ourselves together to give each other confidence and empowerment, I think we will be in a different place.
Definitely, for sure. Just a quick pause. I don't know if you wanted to ask me now any questions.
I think I would, if you don't mind. I wanted to understand what motivates you to make this switch from a business career into tech career. And do you find it easy? Do you find it difficult so far?
Yes. So my shift to technology actually started. So before starting my master's, I actually worked for PwC, but in Nigeria. So I worked with PwC Nigeria for 2 years. And while I was there, I was working as an economic and industry analyst. And the partner that was in charge of my team and I was, he loved blockchain technologies, and we had to do a lot of research on blockchain and how the economy and like certain sectors can adopt it. And while I was doing all this research, I was just finding more things about technology. And before that, these were just buzzwords that were passing through my ear. And then doing more research, I was like, oh, this is very interesting. And this is something I would like to learn more about. And I decided to do my master's. And I knew very early on I didn't want to do a master's in finance or economics. I wanted something different. So when I was placed on these projects, I saw that, technology is something I would want to learn more about. And during my time in PwC, around that period was when they launched their experience center in Lagos. And just going there and seeing how they use technology to create this experience center to kind of like change client offerings was very intriguing to me. And so I applied to Warwick. And so far, it's been challenging just because I'm coming from a very different field. Just learning all these new technologies and learning how to apply them has been difficult, but it's been rewarding. I wouldn't change it for anything because I'm exposed to this new world, and I don't think I can I can go back to where I'm coming from. Or even if I'm going back now, I'm able to merge the two kind of areas together. So yeah, so far it's going great. I'm so thankful to PwC for that experience and just for showing me this side of what I could do. So yeah, that's my story.
I love this story. It's like a perfect story. Then I'm gonna look you up from now on, because you'll have a very interesting career. You're coming with your strong economic and business background, and now you're transferring it into in-depth knowledge in tech with your master. And then you'll be bulletproof, because I think people like yourself, I wouldn't put myself in that category because I don't have that formal education in technology. I have different type of knowledge that I gain by doing. But I think we would need more people like the two of us, that they're able to understand that with the disciplinary education and understanding, because ultimately it's not just about one world or another. It's about a single humanity that will benefit by having a joined approach, right? We don't develop tech for the sake of tech. We develop technology because we want to solve some important problems in society and for humans, and those are human problems. And you can't really define complex human problems if you don't have the diverse set of disciplines that will come together to definition of the problems and also solving it. And yeah, be very excited to watch what after you graduate, where you're going to land and what how your career will look like. But again, kudos to you, because you make this huge step from disrupting yourself from a career that could have been successful in PwC, and you decided to take your life in your own hands and say, no, I want something more, I want to explore. The only thing that I will cautious you is that now that you enter this world of tech, which is a fascinating world, like learning is part of the job. You will continuously learn. Technology is something that evolves very quickly, very fast, and is quite complex. And that if there's one thing that sometimes I feel I'm overwhelmed by, is the sheer volume of updates that happen at every level in this field. Especially if you decide to remain a generalist in technology, then it's even more difficult because you have to keep track of all those different evolutions. But even in the field of AI, there is so much going on that sometimes, even if I've trained myself and now I know how to skim different articles and papers and updates, I still feel that I feel overwhelmed. But it's extraordinary, because only by immersing yourself in this sea, this ocean of knowledge, you are able to extract what's relevant, and you're able to become much better in everything you do. So if you're prepared for this lifelong learning experience, no matter what job you'll have, in order for you to remain competitive, it's almost like you have no choice but to remain informed. And that's the difference in between a career in technology and any other careers. You will be plugging to whatever happens in society, and it's fascinating and terrifying at the same time, because you have to learn how to protect yourself, because sometimes it's not only overwhelming, sometimes might be damaging for your well-being, because you might step into some issue that are quite sensitive for you, or you might have different opinion than the general uh, or the view that's being discussed on certain topic. And you also have to learn to navigate the complexity, the volume, but also this personal attachment. And this is if it's one thing I will want to warn you and all the other girls that will be watching us, is that us women, when we became passionate of something, we invest not only time but also and energy. We invest emotionally, and when things become complex and too much, we get to be emotionally affected by everything that happens. And that's when we need help to get perspective and to get a little bit of a step back from the situation, so that we regroup ourselves and we put a bit of distance in between whatever the context we were in and ourselves as a person, so that we're not sucked in completely into it.
Yes, thank you very much for that. And that's something I'm going to take on when I begin my career. And I think that's a very useful advice for everyone to just hold on to. Thank you so much, Maria, for that. So I think we've covered quite a lot in this interview. And I just wanted to know, have you encountered any challenges along the way? And if so, how did you overcome them?
I love this question always, all the time. Probably you should start with that. So, what are the challenges you encounter? And probably I already alluded to some of the challenges. One is a misconception that the girls are not as good as boys when it comes of analytical skills. And I think we have to, instead of pointing fingers to men, I think we have to start working smartly and smartly with men, because we don't want to create or perpetuate this division forward. And to be able to change this, that how good you are analytically has nothing to do with your gender. So probably that's one of the first challenges. The second challenge, I wouldn't want to hide it, is the fact that I made this transition from Eastern Europe to Western Europe. And the fact that when I reinvented my career, I had to leave behind a successful career in Romania and take it to a lower level when I arrived here. And I think this is, again, something that we don't talk enough about, is the fact that people from developing countries will have a way tougher job when they land in developed economies and developed countries. And it's on us. We know. I think the life of an immigrant hasn't been easy throughout centuries. So it's probably a little bit easier now, especially in Europe since European Commission. But it doesn't mean that is piece of cake. So you still have to embark a quite profound change that will take you out of a life you knew very well into a life you knew very little, into a culture that's sometimes very different from your own culture. And it's not just about adapting it, it's about really understanding this culture and being able to live well in this culture and sort out all your frustration. I do have a lot of friends that they remain frustrated by the fact that we are immigrants and we don't get the same opportunities or same treatment. But that doesn't get you too far, right? What it gets you very far is actually to work those frustration and understand how much is on you and how much is on the others, and understand that in the end you are the master of your own fate. You made the choices, and part of your choices mean that those are some consequences you need to be dealt with. And that's a continuous work in progress. And I wouldn't want you guys to underestimate that this is a hard task, and especially for you, Afoma. But the good news is that in this process you will strengthen your resilience, right? It's the fact that you will work probably harder than most of the people around you, but in the same time you'll get in a better and better position in regards to your previous self, right? So you'll become better compared with yourselves last year and 2 years ago, and so on and so forth. And probably the last challenge is I haven't overcome is how do you find the balance, right? In not being sucked in this life that's very exciting and having a life outside. As I said, I feel like I've lived in those 4 years since I've been fully on AI, two lives. It was so intense that almost I push aside my family and my friends. And I was very lucky to have family and friends that will help and support me from that perspective. And I'm extremely grateful for their love and support. But I think that's always a challenge to keep in mind. You might discover something that you might feel so passionate and you have everything you need to, and you go full stream ahead. And because the nature of who we are as people, that we dedicate ourselves fully when we find that true cause, other aspects of our lives could suffer because it's hard to find balance. And to me, that's again something that is on me every day. Is how do I actually leave my desk, disconnect, and engage with my family and with my friends? And yes, we can't interact face to face and person to person, but it doesn't mean that we shouldn't find the boundaries. So finding the boundaries in between your professional life, no matter how exciting and thrilling and aligned with your life vision is, and all the other parts of your life, and not just family and friends, but what you like doing in your own time. How do you like going about your life? What do you like? How do you like spending your the little time you have for yourself? And I think keeping a balance and finding boundaries, it's a lifelong challenge. But I love challenges, and I'm sure you do. And I'm sure many of girls that are listening to us will do, because in the end, those who have a happy lives are the ones who will be up for a challenge all the time, will never blame the others, will never look for responsible other than themselves. And whenever you have this attitude, you'll be able to be much more fulfilled and much be able to go over frustration and challenges and obstacles and move to the next level and to the next level.
Thank you very much. That was very good because, finding the balance with work is always something that's very difficult. And that's something that we need to try and do better with as we go forward. And what especially resonated with me was your challenge of having to move from Romania to the UK, because as someone who's currently doing the transition from Nigeria to looking for a career here in the UK, I think, that's something I have to take on to as well. But thank you so much for that. And before I ask you my last question, is there any other thing you wanted to ask me on about?
Yes, of course. What's your dream career? Now that you made this transition, you kind of immerse yourself in the world of tech. Do you know what you would love to do?
Yes. So I actually know what I'd like to do, and it's with ideally being a tech consultant, but more with digital transformation and just helping businesses that are looking to transform the way they provide their services through digital technologies. I think that's something that just seems very exciting to me. So in the first term, we did a module called Digital Business Strategy, and I just loved it so much. And just learning how you can help businesses expand and offer better services. And it kind of links with your talk on AI and ethics, because often sometimes businesses are just quick to want to adopt certain technologies without actually understanding why or what the need is, or why if their values are aligned with what they want to do. And that's something I'm really interested in, because there's so much out there, and it's very important to understand why you're doing it, why you're adapting it, and what you want to do with it. So yes, that's where I see myself, and ideally where I'd like to be. But again, the tech space is something that's constantly evolving. So I'm open to learning and seeing any other thing that catches my interest. But for now, that's where my passion is.
That sounds fantastic. And I think you're going to do a great job, because what I heard from you is this matching this experience in the business and economics field with a deep understanding or good understanding of technology is something that is so much needed to organizations that are looking to transform themselves with technology. And I had my share of experience of the ones you described. And I'm missing the old days when I was sitting with our clients, the C-suite, and we'll be going through, but why should we digitize? Now it's not a question like everyone wants to digitize. That joke, that was the meme that was going around the internet saying, who's the main driver of digital transformation in your organization? The C-suite, the CIO, or the coronavirus? And I think the reality is like a lot of companies have postponed so much digitizing their operations. They might want to do it because of the current context, and there will be an increasing need of people like yourself to be able to have this grounded approach, and being able to not only to showcase the benefits, the huge benefits of digitizing, but also being able to highlight the implications, and in many cases the negative implication. And that's where most of my work is, because I go beyond the technical teams into the various other roles around technologies, like innovation, designers of all sorts, so that we can work together to understand that it's not just about the benefits of all technology, are also technology comes with a set of risk, and we haven't done this exercise. We always build for benefits, to optimize for benefits. Now, with the merge of AI, we need to be optimizing for benefits while we identify and minimize the risk. And there's a different mindset when you start building and using technology, and will require people like yourself with a different mentality, with a different approach, that will come and enlighten those executives that sometimes that are trapped in their own bubble, in their own little box. So this forming new perspective and bringing this fresh outlook in the business world will be so much desired, especially when everyone will be fighting for survival, and they will be looking up to digital and say, look, that's my saving grace. Let's just implement digital and a lot of AI, because that's going to save the day. It might be, but, and that's the big but, have we considered all the downsides and all the implication, and what are the trade-offs? by doing this in this way.
Yes, exactly. Thank you so much. And just to round up nicely, I know you've given a lot of important gems and advices, but maybe in like 3 words or three sentences, do you have any career and or tech advice for younger women that are looking to get into tech?
Know yourself because you're wonderful. I think there's no better advice than that. I wish someone would have told me when I was younger that the key to a fulfill and a successful career, it goes through you, not what happens exterior. It's how do you understand who you are, what you like, what you dislike, what you're good at, what are your talents, and what's the support network you have around you. And once you do this, once you know yourself, then you'll start appreciating yourself, and then people around you will value yourself much better, and then you will have the confidence to go and approach peaks and challenges that otherwise you wouldn't have done it. And no matter what career you choose, in tech or non-tech, we will need a lot of us, going in technology in careers other than tech. I think what is important ultimately to find what you like, and you can only do this if you really spend time with yourself. And the reality is that today we are so distracted by technology, right? We are surrounded by screens. We are surrounded by distraction, continuous notification, real-time live streams, real-time interactions with people we don't know, that we sometimes we forgot the most important people in our lives, ourselves and the people next to us. So I think it's time for us to, in order to have a fulfilled life in a world of tech or with tech, is to take a step back and reclaim our humanity. And the best way to do it is to actually know ourselves. And if we do this genuinely and we don't cut corners, because there is a tendency to cut corners, again, because of the very fast-paced life we're living in, everyone will be in a way, way different position and will have way better chance to fulfilling all the opportunities that are swarming around us. And sometimes we don't see it because, as you said, we don't have confidence we can actually do this because we don't know, we don't have we don't understand who we are and what our abilities, and also we don't have enough support around us that will tell us, yes, not only that you're good enough, you're perfect, just go do it. You'll make mistakes, but the beauty in life is that after every mistake, every fall, you stand up taller and stronger and you carry on. End of story. No fuss. Could be sometimes a bit of bruises, a bit of tears, but hey ho, that's part of life.
Yes,
wipe your tears and go continue.
No, I'll say thank you so much, Maria. That's lovely. And that's very important advice for young girls, especially that are just starting or looking into getting into university or taking careers that is deemed as more men's roles. Is just go for it and just be confident. Thank you so much, Maria. Yes. That wraps up our session today for Talking Tech, Women and Girls in ICT. I really enjoyed our chat today and I learned so much about what your role entails. And now I'm eager to continue on with my career paths and just go for it, like you said. And I'm especially excited for the next generation of young women and for more women to take up leadership roles in technology. Thank you. And
thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And thank you so much to our viewers for watching.